China has essentially responded with fire. So the US-China trade war is firmly on now. So here are the details of what China announced. So it will impose 15% tariffs on US coal and LNG, or liquefied natural gas, that's brought into China. On top of that, there will be 10% tariffs on US oil and agricultural equipment. And these tariffs will take effect from the 10th of February, so around next week. And the other interesting thing is these are quite targeted tariffs as well. They're not tariffs against all US goods. So China was very specific of what it was targeting. Now, the other thing that China announced was an antitrust investigation into Google, which is one of the biggest US tech companies. So it'll look into whether Google has breached competition laws in China. On top of that, it's also added some US companies to what's called an unreliable entity list. So the companies that added were Illumina, which is a biotech company listed on the NASDAQ, and PVH Corp, which means nothing to most people, but most people have heard of its brands. So PVH owns Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger, the fashion labels. It does, mystify me why China would add these fashion labels to an unreliable entities list. I would not know why, but there are some dire consequences for these companies. It really makes doing business hard because those companies on that unreliable entity list, China can now restrict what those companies can import or export into the country and deny entry into the country for executives of those countries. So it's quite a different tone to what China struck a few days ago when Donald Trump announced the initial round of 10% tariffs on Chinese goods. At the time, China just said it was going to lodge a dispute to the World Trade Organization. But since then, China's really escalated its response.
The ASX was closed at the time of China's announcement, but what was the early reaction from other markets in Asia?
Yeah, so Asian markets were quite a bit higher before China's tariff announcement, so they've erased a lot of their earlier gains. So the mood has turned a bit more negative there. And also for the Aussie dollar, it was around 62.2 US cents earlier in the day, but then it did drop by 0.8%, which is quite significant for a single day. It dropped as low as about 61.75 US cents before recovering a little bit. And also interesting to note, Wall Street and European futures were positive, but they're now in the red. So there's a good chance they're going to open lower when the Wall Street and European trading sessions begin. And if they close lower, the Aussie share market will probably follow by having a bad day tomorrow. And US oil prices also fell quite significantly. Before the China tariff announcement, they were down 1%. And then since then, they're down closer to 2%. So quite a significant market reaction, Kirsten.
This is a real escalation in the US-China trade war. Do you expect we could see a further ratcheting up of US tariffs on China imports?
Oh, absolutely. Donald Trump is a man who loves a fight. And history shows, especially during his first presidency, he will retaliate. So much of his presidency was defined by the trade war he started with China, tit-for-tat tariffs, and certainly judging from that history, the US will retaliate.
Okay, well, it will be interesting to watch further market reaction. David Chau, thank you.
No worries.